integrity, authentication, and non-repudiation. These are the four things you can see from slide number 26. So, it must not be possible for the credit card number to be stolen on its way to the company server. So, we have to ensure this. Integrity, it must not be possible for the credit card number to be modified on its way to the company server. So, whenever this number is reaching the company server, it has to be ensured like the particular hacker or the intruder should not be able to modify it. And authentication, it must be possible for both the purchaser and the seller to be certain on each other's identity. So one must make sure like you are passing your particular details to a genuine person. So non-repudiation, it must be possible to prove legally that the message was actually sent and received. So you have to ensure like you have to we have to ensure legally, like for example you are transferring some amount to some other person through internet. You will of course have a transaction details. You have to keep all the details with you so that you can like prove you have done so and so transaction on this day. So we have certain tools to support the privacy and integrity. So we call this particular thing as encryption. In encryption, what actually we do is like we have a like two keys, public key and a private key. So this public key will be shared to the end users and a private key with you, which like public key encryption. We call this process a public key encryption, a process in which a public key and a private key are used, and here we will be encrypting and decrypting the messages. Okay, whatever messages you have encrypted from your side has to be decrypted from the other side. So for the other side people, will give them the public key and we'll have a private key for encryption. So protection against viruses and bombs is provided by the anti-virus software. So nowadays you can see so many antivirus softwares like Kaspersky. Um, there are different kinds of software which helps in detecting the malicious softwares. So now coming to the next slide, the web progress toolbox. Set of softwares or the tools which ensures like a particular documents has been transferred. Okay, here I think you can see the screen. Document languages and programming languages that are the building blocks of the web and web programming. Here we have XHTML plugins, filters, XML, JavaScript, and the Java, Perl, Ruby, and PHP. So here we can categorize these technologies into two parts. One is the front-end technologies and other is a back-end technology. So when we go to XHTML, it's nothing the markup language. So markup language means these languages are designed for the processing, definition, and presentation of the text. That means it does not involve any computation or any kind of calculations or mathematical logic, but it helps in displaying the particular information on your web page or the like page which you are viewing. Okay. So actually HTML has different versions. So we'll discuss about the versions and when there has been emerged and all. So you have to understand like these markup languages helps in only the display of your particular text, or it helps in the layout and the style. Okay. So this HTML is an example of a widely known and used markup language. So I just want to ensure like you understand what is meant by a markup language. So when you see this plugins are nothing but which are a kind of add-ons to your browsers. You can add certain plugins to your browsers. For example, we can understand like you have Mozilla Firefox, right? So you have many add-ons that can be added to your browser. For example, there is a Firebug add-on. So this Firebug add-on, it helps in debugging the code of your HTML. So in the future classes, we will understand about how to debug your code. So writing the code is one way, and debugging is the most important thing in order to find out what are the different errors that are occurring in your page. So this XHTML is a markup language, okay, and the like plugins and filters are like two different kinds of converters that can be used to create the XHTML documents and all. So these helps us in converting if the documents are written in some other format. These plugins and filters will ensure like these can be converted to like XHTML documents. XML is a meta language which is helpful for transfer of the data. Okay, like in the further classes you can understand about this more in detail. XML helps to transport the data. For example, if you are filling any form on your web page, so this form has certain details, right? So these details are structured in a particular format and those are sent to your server. And now going to the JavaScript. So JavaScript is a and language, but it can be used in a backend as well. So JavaScript helps us to write certain logics, like you can navigate through different pages. You can perform some actions like on click. There should be some action performing. So this JavaScript helps in the interactivity of your web pages. So using HTML and CSS, you will be writing the static code. If you want to provide interactivity or you want to show some actions, in that case we'll use the JavaScript. So it is mostly used in front end, and in back end also it can be utilized. Okay, in some server side languages like Node.js. So like Node.js is a current like backend technology that we are using in our market now. So it is basically uses the JavaScript. Okay, Java, Perl, Ruby, and PHP are the certain backend technologies. So now moving on to the next slide. XHTML. So this one I'm just giving a brief to describe the general form and layout of the document. So this helps in representing our data with the help of certain tags. Okay, an XHTML document is a mix of content and controls. So you'll have certain tags like p tag, div tag, and there can be some methods which can be assigned to these tags with the help of JavaScript. Okay, controls are the tags and their attributes. We can have certain attributes with the div tags. So div can have a class. So this can be like illustrated more in your further classes. So these particular tags have the information that we are going to display. For example, if you want to display a text like hello, you have to insert that particular text in a tag, like it can be a div tag or a p tag. So inside these tags, we have to write this text. So attributes provide additional information about the content of a tag. So here attribute means which provides an additional information. For example, this is a div is a class. Inside the div you have hello. Okay. So this particular content, like whatever hello you have, you can make it appear like in different colors or formats with the help of certain attributes. Okay. So in order to write all the code, like whatever the HTML tags, and you need some editors. Okay, you can write the certain tags in your notepad as well. You can save the notepad with extension .html, and when you like run it on using the browsers like Firefox or Chrome, you can see the respective pages. So instead of a browser, instead of a notepad, you can use different types of editors. Like currently, we are using the editors like Notepad++. Excuse me, all. Yeah. So here we have different types of editors like Notepad++, Eclipse, and all. Here you can see WYSIWYG. So what you see is what you see. The full form here I want to explain you. So what you see is what you get. So the particular editor like XHTML editors and others WYSIWYG XHTML editors actually help the browsers to render your web pages. So when you save the particular HTML file with the extension .html in these particular editors, and when you double click on this, like when you open the particular .html file with the help of a browser, it can be a IE or a Chrome or a Firefox, then you can view your web page. So there are certain editors like Notepad++ which we are currently using. So this Notepad++ editors will auto-populate few tags. For example, if you have started writing, you have opened some Angular brace and started writing some div or p. So it will auto-populate few things like div, p, or some kind of different tags. Okay, bold tag or any tag. So certain editors will provide us some privileges like it can auto-populate the tag names, it can provide the spell checkers and all. So, but I recommend like you should not go for such things. So initially when you are programming, do it with the Notepad, not Notepad++. You can do it with a Notepad. So when you are used to certain tags like how do you open a HTML document, how do you close it, like the opening tags, body tags, okay, different kinds of tags. You can practice it well on your notepad and then you can move to the editors. So let's move on to the next slide. That is the plugins and filters which we have discussed. So these certainly helps us to convert one form of documents to the XHTML files. Okay. Filters convert the documents in other formats to XHTML, and this WYSIWYG we have seen, right? These are the different kinds of editors. So integrated plugins are like integrated into tools like word processors, effectively converting them to WYSIWYG HTML editors. So we just call it as a WYSIWYG. So what you see is what you get. Okay. Now just moving on to the next slide. The plugins and the filters advantages and the disadvantages. So advantages both the filters and plugins. So the existing what are the advantages we can see here? Existing documents produced with other tools can be converted to the XHTML documents. So it provides us a facility for converting some existing documents to this XHTML documents. So you use a tool you already know to produce XHTML. So these are the which you can use a certain tools which are well known kind of things. You can may help them. You can utilize them to convert to the XHTML. So there are certain disadvantages of both the filters and the plugins. So whenever the conversion is done, like for example, you have converted one file to XHTML, the output may not be like perfect. You may not get a standard format displayed, and you may also have some different versions of the document. So these different versions, it will be difficult for you to synchronize. So these are the certain disadvantages you can see. So the converted files cannot be like clear or perfect, and they may not be standard. For example, standard means, I hope you have gone through the w3c.org, which is a worldwide web consortium which sets up the standards for the web. So this is a organization or a community which helps us to understand the latest versions of the HTML, what is going on in the web, and also it is very important for everyone to go through this w3c.org site to understand the web standards. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. XML. So XML is a meta markup language. As we have already discussed, XML helps us to transport our data. So this transport of data, like for example, you have filled some form. Okay, this form data has to reach the server. So this can be done using different formats actually. One of the format is XML. Okay, extensible markup language. So it has a certain syntax which we are going to see in our further classes, and they are used to create a new markup language for a particular purpose or area. So if you are transporting some book information like book cost, cost of the book, price, date of manufacturing, all these details related to book are embedded into certain tags, and we send this information to the server, and the server will store it on the respective database. Okay, so these tags are designed for specific area. They can be meaningful. So these tags are kind of a meaningful means you can use the name of the tag as book name or a book version. Okay, the name itself make you understand like what kind of information that you are transporting to the server. So we don't have any presentation details here, and a simple and universal way of representing data of any textual kind. So here we can simply it is like a kind of a user defined tags that we can write and save it in our server. In the similar way, when we are retrieving some information and want to display it on your browser, we can use this XML output from your server. Just moving on to the next slide, JavaScript.
Sir, next time. Better.
So JavaScript is a client-side HTML embedded scripting language. So we have markup languages and scripting languages. So HTML comes under the markup language, which is mainly used for presentational purpose. You want to display any of your information using this markup language can be embedded in a particular tags. And JavaScript is a client-side language which helps in interactivity of the HTML pages, and it's only related to Java through syntax. So here you have to understand like Java and JavaScript both are different. Okay, Java is an object-oriented language, and JavaScript also has some object-oriented concepts, but both are different. Okay, I mean there are certain concepts like prototypes which comes in object-oriented JavaScript, but it is not like fully object-oriented. When we compare it with Java, okay, it's dynamically typed. Like we can have the things which can be done dynamically, not at the static end. It provides a way to access elements of HTML documents and dynamically change them. So, for example, you have some p tag. Okay, you have opened some notepad. Okay, you have written some tag in the tag, you have a text called hello. So basically it is red in color. So this is, for example, I'm telling, basically it is in red color. So you want to change it dynamically when the during the runtime you want to change the color of the particular tag to some color, yellow color. Okay. In that case, from the JavaScript side, you can access the particular tag, okay, and you can change the color dynamically. So how we are going to change it, we shall discuss in our JavaScript classes, okay. So the further slides contains the Java, Perl, which are the server-side languages, okay. So like in few minutes, I'm going to share some other PPT. So the server-side languages will be explained by the different faculty. Website like Worldwide Web Consortium. It's an international community that develops open standards to ensure the long-term growth of the web. Okay. Future also at any point of time in your career, like when you're studying or any time, you have to follow this particular site about the latest standards of the web. So whatever changes that are going on worldwide will be updated in this website. So you have to go through the standards as well. So here you can see like W3C standards defines an open web platform for application development that has the unprecedented potential to enable developers to build the rich interactive experiences. So this particular web page talks about the importance of the web pages and also the different kinds of styles we are using like CSS, SVG, and about XML as well, and the wide variety of APIs that we are going to. APIs are nothing but application package interfaces that I'll be just explaining you in further classes. So overall, you just try to navigate through the different links here and understand what is going on in the web currently. Okay, so every web developer will follow this particular website to understand what's going on in the web because it updates us about the changes regularly. So next link we shall understand about the DTDs, document type definitions. So next link, that is https w3.org/qa slash the other link which I have shared. So this is a recommended list of doc types. So before like going through this, you have to understand what is meant by a doc type. Okay, doc type is nothing but the type of document you are using. Okay, in HTML we have different types of doc types. Doc types means it tells us about the different versions of the HTML we are using. Okay, so HTML 3.2, like it is not mentioned in the website, but I'm just telling orally. See here, like HTML 3.2 is the first version that was introduced in 1997. Later, in HTML 4.01 was introduced in the year 1999. So HTML 4 was widely used, and later we got the XHTML, which is an extensible hypertext markup language. It has some standards, like for example, HTML is a like not a strict language when compared to XHTML. Okay. For this differences between HTML and XHTML, you can go through the site. I'll just ping you the site here. So whenever you are opening any tag, you must definitely close that particular tag So these kind of standards are ensured in the XHTML language, whereas HTML is not that strict. Okay. So now the latest version of HTML5, which was introduced in 2014, is the latest version we are using in our web pages. Okay, you have to understand about the XHTML and the HTML. Okay, so how this HTML4 has come up and all. So these are not mentioned in your textbook, but for your understanding, let's go through all the sites and understand like what is meant by W3C initially. So what are the web standards here, and what are the different versions of HTMLs we have, and the difference between older versions and the new versions and all. Okay, so there are certain syntaxes, okay, for HTML latest version and the previous version. As per the textbooks, you will be seeing certain doc types, okay, for XHTML. I'll just try to provide few more links. More on the concepts. Well, just have your textbook concepts done, like you just go through your textbook concepts, and parallelly you just go through this site. See, like here w3schools.com is a very basic site where everyone can learn HTML like in less amount of time. Okay, if you can scroll down this site in W3C, this whatever you are viewing, right? If you can scroll down a bit, you can find different types of understand the doc type declaration must be very first thing in your HTML document before the HTML tag. So it explains how your web page starts actually. Okay, it should start with a doc type, which means it tells which type of HTML you are using. So the particular browser should understand. Okay, what kind of document to expect. Yeah, it's you can see that it right. Always add the doc type declaration to your HTML documents so that the browser knows what kind of document to expect. So even if you do not write this particular doc type also, the program gets executed. But it is always recommended to use the doc type. Okay, you can see like some web pages will load completely and some web pages do not load, like this show only partial information. So this often happens when you don't follow the standards during your development. Okay. So these are certain standards which you have to ensure. You can also see the browser support this doc type. You can see the angular braces opening, exclamatory, doc type, and closing angular brace. This is the doc type for HTML5. Okay, the latest HTML version we are using is HTML5. So as per your textbook, you may be using XHTML. Okay, it may not be specified in your textbook about the HTML5, but for the general knowledge, you can just go through this HTML5 and all. So this is you can see the differences between HTML 4.01 and HTML5. So XHTML was in between HTML 4.01 and HTML5, but it is not used that much because it is very strict and it has to follow certain standards. So mostly used versions are like 4.01 and 5. So now we are using 5 version. So if you can scroll down, you can understand the common doc type declarations. So in HTML 4.01 also you have 3 types: straight, transitional, frame set. So these are all the things which you have to understand it. The refer your textbook concepts, like what are the programs that are mentioned in your textbooks, what kind of HTML versions they use, and we can do some hands-on exercises. So whenever you feel like whenever you have time, just quickly go through all the left-hand side concepts in the web page. You can see that HTML, about the HTMLs and all. You have an online editor provided here in our website. There you can run your program and you can click on submit. Try it yourself, like in the example. You can change the content here and you can click on try it yourself. You can see the result. So these editors will help make us quickly understand. Okay, you can just change some text in the body, or you can add some tags or kind of. So we'll see the tags in further classes. So this is a basic syntax with HTML5. Okay, HTML5 doc type HTML. So this kind of editors will make you easily understand. So I strongly recommend, like whenever you practice these exercises, don't open the online editors. Open a notepad on your computer or a system, and then type this doc type declaration, HTML, header. I'll explain you each and every tag in the next class in detail. Okay, each and every tag, what is the importance you have to understand, and try to remember all those tags and use the notepad and save the particular extension with .html or .css. Okay, and you can run the using your web browsers. So the good thing is, like, you practice it with the notepad, then you can, once you are familiar with all the tags, you can use the editors, like it may be like online editors or notepad plus plus. You can download notepad plus plus. Okay, I'll just type on different kinds of editors we have. See, you can see here in notepad we have just pasted the HTML and we are saving it with the help of .html. And also go through the links that I have mentioned here in the chat. Okay. So today we have discussed about the securities and the editors in XHTML, the plugins and filters, XML, like overview of XML, overview of JavaScript and all. Primary thing you have to remember is, like the server-side technologies, client-side technologies. So the server-side technologies that you are going to learn in your future classes are like XHTML, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, XML. So, and this server-side technologies as like Java, PHP, and Ruby and all. So in XHTML, you'll understand, like this is a kind of a presentational language where you can style or give a layout to your page. And XHTML, sorry for the interruption. So this XHTML, it's mainly useful for the presentational purpose. Okay, here there will not be any logic, computational logic. Okay, this is mainly represented for your presentation, how a text or an image appears in your web browser. Okay, it's XHTML is the next version of the HTML 4.0. Okay, and the XHTML has certain editors you can see this busy. What you see is what you get. It's a XHTML editors. So this kind of editors will help us to display the output like in your browser and all. So certain editors will have the advantages like it will auto-populate certain tags when you start trying to write and all. Certain editors will have the spell checkers. Okay. So plugins and filters, you can see like these are integrated into tools like the word processors, and these help the conversion of the files into the XHTML format. Till the introduction of the front-end technologies. So the back-end technologies will be developed by some other faculty. So from next class, from tomorrow's class, we shall go through the XHTML concepts.